Most of our ranch and rodeo friends will be familiar with the movie 8 Seconds. And in that movie, there's a scene where Tuff Hedeman's confronting Lane Frost about his nice guy attitude. And Tuff says to Lane, "You can't be a cowboy and a nice guy, Lane. It just don't work like that. We've got an image to uphold. Drinking, loving, fighting, cowboy." And I think most of us would agree that's the image that most bull riders, most rodeo cowboys want to uphold. They want to be seen as tough. And there's nothing wrong with being seen as tough, but I want to ask you this. Is that the image that we should be trying to uphold as Christians? I'm Jesse Horton with Cowboys of the Cross, and this is The Short Go. I want to direct your attention to Luke chapter 19. And here we see what we call the triumphal entry of Jesus into Jerusalem. This is the last time that Jesus goes into Jerusalem before his crucifixion. We call it Palm Sunday. And Jesus sends his disciples ahead into the city and asks them to bring back the foal of a donkey so that he can ride in on it. And starting at verse 35 of Luke 19, it says, "And they brought it to Jesus, and throwing their cloaks on the colt, they set Jesus on it. And as he rode along, they spread their cloaks on the road. As he was drawing near, already on the way down the Mount of Olives, the whole multitude of his disciples began to rejoice and praise God with a loud voice for all the mighty works that they had seen, saying, 'Blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord. Peace in heaven and glory in the highest.'" So Jesus' disciples see him coming in on this donkey, and they call him the King. Blessed is the King. This is significant for a few reasons. So the first thing is that this is a fulfillment of Zechariah 9:9, where the prophet Zechariah, God instructed him to tell Jerusalem, Israel, that their king would come riding on the back of a donkey. Meek. He's humble. He's a meek and humble guy riding on the back of a donkey. The second reason that this is significant is that not only is Jesus in this action proclaiming himself to be Israel's Messiah, but you got to ask the question, why a donkey? Because most kings, after they had conquered, when they were bringing their gospel or their good news into the city, which was their practice, they would ride in on a majestic war horse, proclaiming their good news, their gospel, that their rule, their kingdom had now come to this village. Jesus didn't ride in on a war horse. No, he rode in on a donkey, a beast of burden, an animal of service, which makes sense because Jesus said that he came not to be served, but to serve and to give his life a ransom for many. So Jesus' kingdom is different from what we expect. It's different at all points from what we expect. What we know about a debt is that a debt never gets erased. Somebody has to assume that debt. And for us as Christians, our God, our King, assumed the debt that we owed, the death that is the wages of sin. Jesus took that upon himself. See, Jesus' kingdom is upside down. So when Jesus got backed into a corner, he didn't come out swinging. He came out forgiven. Yeah, he had railed against the Pharisees and against the Sadducees, against the teachers of the law, but he wasn't going to defeat them with the sword. He wasn't going to defeat them with violence. He was going to defeat them through the cross. See, Jesus' kingdom is upside down. We see that in the Beatitudes. Two of those Beatitudes for you today about this topic. Jesus said, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth." And he said, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God." This is the image that we should be upholding as Christians. So when you're backed into a corner, when someone does you wrong, instead of throwing a punch, instead of saying something nasty, remember that Jesus' kingdom advances through forgiveness and through peace. I hope that gives you some encouragement today.